Chosen one, this message has reached you right on time, not by accident and not by coincidence. This is divine timing in full effect. You were guided here because, deep down, you've always felt out of place, like you were born into the wrong family. But what if that discomfort was actually confirmation of your calling? Have you ever looked around at your family and wondered, how am I even related to these people? Maybe you've always felt like the outsider, the misunderstood one, the black sheep, the one they talk about but never truly understand. It wasn't a coincidence, it wasn't a mistake. You were born into the wrong family on purpose. This message isn't to blame or shame anyone in your bloodline. It's not about creating division, it's about giving you clarity. You weren't placed where you were by accident. God strategically planted you in that environment to awaken something that had been buried for generations. You weren't the problem, you were the pattern breaker. Let's break this down into 7 chapters so you can understand the full weight of why you had to be the one, the chosen one, the cycle breaker, the seed of transformation. Before we begin, take a moment to like, share and subscribe, because this message is for the chosen ones who've always felt out of place, yet were born to shift everything. If this message resonates with your spirit, drop the number 77 in the comments. It's more than just a number. It's a declaration that you're aligned, awakened, and ready to step into your assignment. Only the truly chosen will stay until the end, and those who do will gain the clarity, healing, and confirmation they've been silently praying for. Each time you revisit this message, it will unlock something deeper, because truth doesn't just inform, it transforms. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Feeling like a stranger in your own house. From a young age, you sensed something was off, not with the world, but with how you fit into it. While other kids laughed easily and blended in without effort, you stood at the edge, observing. You weren't antisocial. You were just different, not better, just built with something rare. You saw through things others blindly accepted. You questioned rules, traditions, and even the tone behind the words people used. Where others were content with surface-level conversations, you craved depth, meaning, and truth. You felt things more intensely. What others could ignore would linger in your spirit. A harsh word, a dismissive glance, a room filled with tension. You felt it all. You weren't just present in the moment. You were tuned in to something deeper. It wasn't that you wanted to stand out. In fact, you often wished you could just blend in. But no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't fully silence the voice within you whispering, "There's more to life than this." Maybe it started in your own household. The people closest to you didn't understand your silence. They misread your stillness as laziness, your imagination as foolishness, and your emotions as weakness. You were told to toughen up, stop being so sensitive, and fall in line. But every time you tried to dim your light to fit in, a piece of your soul grew dimmer too. You were made to feel like an outsider in your own home, like a guest in a place that should have been your sanctuary. The more you grew into your true self, the more tension there was. Your uniqueness made others uncomfortable, not because you were wrong, but because your presence stirred something within them. Your truth exposed their denial, your dreams challenged their limitations, your light illuminated their shadows, and so they rejected you, not because they truly knew you, but because they didn't understand what you carried. That rejection wasn't personal, it was spiritual. It wasn't you they were resisting. It was the calling in you, the potential, the light, the anointing. You reminded them, without even trying, of everything they had buried, given up on, or were afraid to face. But hear this, just because you didn't belong in the place you were born into, doesn't mean you don't belong anywhere. Feeling like a stranger was never a punishment. It was preparation. You were never meant to fit into systems built to keep you small. You were never meant to settle into spaces that couldn't hold the weight of your destiny. You're not broken. You're not a misfit. You're a blueprint, divinely designed for something greater. And this is only the beginning. Chapter 2. planted in pain to produce purpose. You weren't born into that family to blend in. You were born to break through. The dysfunction you experienced wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every argument, every betrayal, every wound you suffered was like the hammer of a blacksmith, shaping you in. Each moment of hurt pushed you one step closer to your awakening. Even if at the time it felt like you were sinking deeper into despair, God didn't allow those trials to destroy you. He allowed them to build you. You had to face the darkness because in that darkness you began to recognize the light. It's easy to see what you're missing when everything around you is bleak, but it's through that emptiness that you learn to hunger for the fullness of purpose. You were shown what not to become so you could understand exactly who you are meant to be. Each trial, no matter how painful, was an invitation to evolve into the best version of yourself. You were placed in a place of pain so you could produce a life of purpose. Think about it. Without pressure, coal never becomes a diamond. Without the heat, the finest metal doesn't emerge. The furnace of your life was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you. When you were tested, you didn't fold, even when you wanted to, and every single time you got back up, you became stronger, more resilient, more capable of facing what's ahead. It's often in the hardest seasons of our lives that we discover the deepest callings. The trials, the rejection, the battles, they weren't random. They were the shaping forces that led you to this very moment, the moment where you realized that your pain was never pointless. Every challenge was an opportunity in disguise, designed to help you rise, to grow into the person you were always meant to be. Now look at the strength you've developed. You may have felt isolated, abandoned, and forgotten. But in reality, God was preparing you for something greater than you could imagine. Every tear you shed was watering the roots of your destiny. Every moment you thought you couldn't go on was merely the stretching of your capacity, the expanding of your potential. God was never absent during your pain. He was right there, molding you, even when you didn't see it. And every setback you endured, it wasn't a defeat. It was the soil, the foundation from which your true purpose will sprout. The person you are becoming is exactly what you need to fulfill the call on your life. The wounds were never meant to leave you broken. They were meant to leave you with a testimony, a story of resilience, a story of victory, a story of purpose. You've been planted in pain, but now it's time to break through the surface and produce the life you were always meant to live. Your purpose wasn't just to survive, it was to thrive. Your journey may have been difficult, but each struggle was a lesson, each failure a stepping stone. And now, with every challenge you've overcome, you're getting one step closer to your ultimate rise. The world will soon see the fruit of your labor. Your purpose is waiting for you, and it's time for you to step into it fully. Chapter 3. Assigned to break generational patterns: addiction, poverty, abuse, silence, shame. These patterns ran through your bloodline for generations. They were the cycles that kept repeating, like a broken record playing over and over again. You may have seen the same struggles in the lives of your parents, your grandparents, even your great-grandparents, but you are not bound by those chains until you. You are the interruption to that pattern. The family didn't see it at first, but heaven knew it long before you ever did. You are not just the product of your lineage. You are the divine assignment sent to change the course of history for your bloodline. You were born into this family not by accident, but with purpose, to break the cycles that have held them captive for so long. Heaven handpicked you, chosen one, to be the one who would rise above the old way and bring something new, something greater to the table. You weren't called to keep the traditions. You were sent to transform them. You didn't inherit just blood. You inherited a divine purpose. Your lineage may have been marked by limitations and struggles, but your life has a new mark, the mark of someone who doesn't accept the narrative as it is. You're not here to continue the story. You're here to rewrite it, to create a new legacy that future generations will look up to, not out of obligation, but with admiration and pride. Rewriting that story means discomfort. It means walking away from things you once thought were normal, even comforting. It means stepping away from people who are still bound by those same old cycles. It means disappointing those who are comfortable in their familiar patterns, the ones who've never dared to imagine a life beyond the limits they've known. You will face resistance. You will be misunderstood. But chosen one, that's part of your calling. You've been called. It's not an easy task. It's a road less traveled, often lonely, filled with hard decisions and moments of doubt. You will have to make choices that others may not understand. You will have to choose growth over comfort, healing over staying stuck in the past, and freedom over the chains of tradition. But this is what you've been called to do. If everyone could do it, they would have done it before you. But they couldn't. That's why you're here. You were born to break through the walls that held them back. You were chosen to rise above the limitations that have defined your family for so long. And though the journey may be difficult, the power of your transformation will be the beacon that lights the way for others to follow. You are the turning point, the key to unlocking freedom for your bloodline. Don't be afraid to step into the discomfort of change. The world will try to pull you back into the cycle, but remember, you were not born to conform. You were born to break free and bring freedom to those who are still bound. The transformation may not be easy, but it will be worth it. You are not just breaking generational patterns. You are creating a new pattern, a pattern of strength, a pattern of healing, a pattern of success, a pattern of purpose. And that pattern, chosen one, is yours to write. Chapter 4. Rejection was your redirection. You may have felt unloved, unseen, or even unwanted. There were moments when you questioned your worth, wondered why you weren't accepted, or why you were always pushed aside. But listen closely. Rejection is not always cruelty. It's often divine redirection. What seemed like abandonment, what felt like a crushing blow, was actually a part of God's greater plan to push you into your purpose. If they had embraced you the way you wanted, you might have stayed stuck in places that weren't meant for you. You might have been comfortable in environments where growth wasn't possible, but rejection became your catalyst. It forced you to move beyond the boundaries you had set for yourself. It pushed you to seek a higher truth. You began to look beyond the things that held you back and toward the one who had been waiting for you all along. It led you straight to God. It drove you to deeper self-discovery, to finding the version of you that was always meant to rise. The rejection didn't take anything away from you. It gave you everything you needed to step into the fullness of your calling. Rejection, though painful, doesn't have the power to break you. In fact, it was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. Every time they overlooked you, it was an invitation to see yourself through God's eyes. Every time you were misunderstood, heaven whispered, "You're not crazy, you're chosen." They didn't see the greatness within you, but that wasn't your problem. That was their limitation. You weren't meant to fit in with the crowd. You were never supposed to blend in. You were meant to stand apart, to be set apart. You were called to rise above the noise, to walk a path that few will understand, but that will lead you straight to your destiny. Every rejection was a redirecting of your steps. Every closed door was a sign that something greater awaited you. You were being steered away from places that would have stifled your growth. Every no you received was a yes to a better opportunity that was in alignment with your purpose. The world didn't know it, but heaven was aligning things behind the scenes. The people who rejected you were not rejecting your worth. They were simply playing their part in the divine plan that was unfolding for you. God's rejection is His protection. He knows what's coming. He knows the path ahead. And sometimes, the very thing that hurts the most is actually the thing that saves you from staying stuck in places that would have held you back. The pain of rejection is not forever. It's simply the refining process that leads you to a greater understanding of who you really are. When you were cast aside, God was drawing you closer. When they couldn't see your value, He was showing you your true worth. You were never meant to stay with people who couldn't see your potential. You were meant for more, so don't look at rejection as a sign that you are unworthy. Look at it as a sign that you are on the right path. God allowed it to happen because He knew you needed that push. You weren't meant to blend in with the crowd. You were born to stand out, to rise above, and to walk a unique and powerful journey. And while the world may have rejected you, heaven has always embraced you. The rejection was only the beginning of your rise. It was your redirection into the light. Chapter 5. You're the blueprint for a new beginning. Your family may not realize it yet, but you're the one carrying the blueprint for a new beginning, a new way of thinking, a new way of loving, a new standard of living. You are the spark that will ignite a fire of change for generations to come. You are the living, breathing proof that something better is not just a dream, it is a reality waiting to unfold. You were placed here, in this very moment, not by accident, but with purpose. Everything you've been through, every struggle, every hardship, every victory has shaped you into the blueprint for what your family's future will look like. You carry the wisdom, the strength, and the resilience needed to create a new legacy, one that will be better than what came before you. Whether or not they recognize it now, you are setting the stage for a future that is not defined by the limitations of the past. Maybe they still mock you. Maybe they still ignore you. Perhaps they label you as different or out of touch with reality because they don't see the bigger picture. They can't yet understand the vision that God has placed inside of you. But rest assured, chosen one, what they don't understand now, they will remember later. In time, when the shift begins to happen, when the patterns of the past finally begin to break, they'll look back and trace it all back to you. You will be the point in time they can point to and say, that's where it all changed. It started with them. You will be the one who showed them that change is possible, that it's never too late to rewrite the story. The generations that come after you will be able to trace their growth, their healing, their prosperity back to the moment when you chose to step up and step out. They'll look at you and say, it was because of them that we are free. It was because of them that we are living differently. You are the root of the future harvest. Everything you're doing now is planting seeds that will one day blossom into something far greater than you can even imagine. You may not see the fruit of your labor just yet, but it's there, growing beneath the surface. Every change you make in yourself, every decision you make to rise above the old patterns, is creating a new foundation for those who will follow you. The growth of your family's future depends on the work you are doing now. You are the ancestor in the making, the one who is rewriting the history of your bloodline. You're the one who said, "It ends with me." You decided that the pain, the brokenness, the cycles that held your family back would not define you, and they will not define the generations to come. You drew a line in the sand and said, "No more." And in doing so, you became the one who is shifting the entire trajectory of your family's legacy. So when the weight of the task feels heavy, remember that you are the blueprint. The future is being shaped by your actions, your decisions, and your willingness to be different. You are not just living for yourself. You are living for those who will come after you. And when the day comes that they stand on the foundation you've laid, they'll look at you and be grateful. They'll understand why you had to be different, why you had to stand out, why you had to take the road less traveled. They'll see you as the bridge to a better tomorrow, and they'll honor the sacrifices you made to create a new beginning for them. Chapter 6. Walking alone. Was part of the calling loneliness is part of the chosen path. It hurts, yes, but it's holy. While others were surrounded by noise, you were surrounded by silence. While they chased crowds, you faced shadows. And for a long time you wondered what was wrong with you. Why couldn't you connect? Why did every circle feel like a cage? Why did every room feel like you didn't belong? The truth is, nothing was wrong with you. Something was right. The isolation you experienced wasn't just circumstantial. It was intentional, divine, orchestrated with precision by the one who saw what you couldn't. God had to separate you so he could shape you. He had to pull you away from the opinions that would distort your purpose, from the people who couldn't handle your growth, from the environments that would have diluted your spirit. If you had stayed close to those who couldn't see you, you would have questioned your own vision. If you had kept trying to belong where you were only tolerated, you would have shrunk to fit their comfort. So God intervened, not to punish you, but to preserve you. He set you apart to set you up. He stripped away the noise, the strength that rises from within, forged in private battles, invisible tears and silent victories. In the stillness, your spirit woke up. You didn't just survive the isolation, you were reborn in it, chosen one. You had to walk alone so you could lead others home. You had to feel the emptiness so you could carry the fullness of purpose. You had to feel the sting of rejection so you could lead with compassion. You had to be misunderstood so you could understand others. Your wilderness wasn't wasted, it was sacred. It was where heaven trained you in secret for a purpose too powerful to be prepared in public. And yes, it was lonely. But even in your loneliness, you were never truly alone. Every step you took, heaven walked with you. Every tear you cried, God bottled. Every prayer you whispered into the dark, he heard. Your isolation was not abandonment, it was alignment. You were hidden, not forgotten, separated, not rejected, unseen by the world, but fully seen by God. And now that you've walked the path alone, you carry something rare. You carry clarity. You carry conviction. You carry authority, not given by man, but entrusted by God. You walk differently because you were forged differently. So don't resent the seasons where you had to walk by yourself. Don't despise the solitude that shaped your soul. That walk wasn't a detour, it was destiny. Because now, when others get lost, you'll know the way. When they feel abandoned, you'll carry the presence. When they cry out for direction, you'll have the wisdom. You were set apart so you could be sent ahead. And now that you've survived the alone, you are ready to lead the many. Chapter 7. Returning in Power, Not for Approval. Here's the full circle moment. One day you may return to the very people, places or environments that once misunderstood you, underestimated you, or even pushed you away. But this time, it will be different. This time, you won't return searching for validation. You won't walk in hoping to finally be accepted. You'll return walking in your power, not in arrogance but in quiet authority, not needing applause but overflowing with peace. Because now you know who you are. You've done the inner work. You've survived the wilderness. You've heard from God. And what once broke you no longer has the power to shake you. You won't need to explain yourself. You won't waste time defending your path or justifying your distance. You won't beg to be understood by those who never had the capacity to carry your vision. You've outgrown the need to be seen by people who were never meant to see you. Your presence alone will speak volumes. Your life will testify to the grace on your journey. Your peace will radiate in a way that can't be faked. Your success, spiritual, emotional, and even material, will be undeniable. And the same people who once rolled their eyes at your growth, questioned your calling, or whispered about your silence, those very people will begin to look to you for direction. But this won't be about proving them wrong. It won't be revenge. It will be redemption. Because the mission was never about revenge anyway. It was about rising so others could rise too. You weren't born into the wrong family to be broken. You were sent there to break chains. You were planted in dysfunction, not to mirror it, but to transform it. Your presence was always the disruption. Your silence was loud. Your boundaries were bold. And now your growth is the undeniable evidence that God's hand has been on you from the beginning. Your journey is your testimony. Every battle you fought in private now becomes someone else's blueprint for freedom. Every tear you cried in isolation becomes someone else's comfort in their own storm. Your scars become maps, and your survival becomes a light for those still trapped in the dark. You're not just a chosen one. You're a sent one, sent into unfamiliar soil to plant something brand new. A new lineage, a new mindset, a new standard, a new frequency. You are the one God trusted to carry the blueprint into territory that had never seen it before. And now, your return is not about re-entering old rooms to fit in. It's about showing others what's possible when you surrender to your calling. Your footsteps echo with purpose, your voice carries weight, and your presence, after all this time, will be recognized not because they finally get it, but because your fruit speaks louder than your words ever could. You don't return for approval. You return because your assignment didn't end in isolation. You return to lift, to lead, to plant, and to pass on what you've learned.